So, you know what I just want to say, I can feel it.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. That was my best Mike Tyson. Oh, Lord.
By the way, best scene in that movie ever. If you don't know the movie Hangover, watch it.
No, don't watch it.
Yes.
It was terrible.
It was. But
You get tricked into someone's like, it's a really funny movie, and all of a sudden you're like, no. Off.
Hilarious moment. So my wife and I, someone had talked to us about seeing it, and a trusted friend, and I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking my wife is not.
This always starts a bad thing. A trusted friend told me to watch that movie.
Right.
That's not good.
And I'm thinking, my wife, it's kind of crude. My wife, there's no way she's going to love it. It's one of her favorite movies.
You just opened up a...
Well, and I think the reason why is because there's so many just like unexpected, shocking moments that you're like, oh my gosh, there's a naked Chinese man in the trunk of the car. Who saw that coming?
Welcome to the Known Legacy Podcast. The views represented 3 seconds ago are not that of Known Legacy Ministries.
Right.
Man.
If you're looking for piety, please first off listen to a different podcast. Second, don't watch the movie.
If your ducks are in a row, this probably isn't your podcast.
But when Mike Tyson decks him in the middle of that song, again, totally unexpected, and it's just like whack, and you're like, that's hilarious.
Everybody though, and I think everybody in their cars, they wait for that drum solo. You wait like 3 minutes as Phil is like singing, and you're like, calling in the air tonight, night. Oh Lord, Lord. Like everyone does the echo, and then everyone does the air drum. Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't know where that came from.
I don't know either, but anyways, Known Legacy, that's what we're about.
We're so glad you guys are here.
If you haven't signed up for it yet, we would encourage you to sign up for the Known Legacy Conference coming up at the beginning of March.
Known Legacy Conference.
On Sunday Nitro.
Actually, but it's Saturday night from 4 to 8:30. 4 to 8:30.
It's going to be fantastic. A wonderful date night for you and your spouse. We got childcare available. We got, and here's the deal. Like one of the things that we have going on is we have a concert, so you and your wife can get your dance on if you want to.
I don't know about dance, but anyways, you certainly could get your dance on.
Maybe Tara and I will just break the dancing ice
that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Break the dancing ice.
No, but there's breakout sessions for wherever you are in the parenting spectrum or life spectrum, whether an empty nester or you have infants or you just got married or you have teenagers. We got tons of different breakouts that will help kind of put some questions on the table that might be helpful for you to wrestle with.
Yeah.
And some ideas on how to do it as well as possible.
Yeah, and even for those, I've had some guys come up and say, well, I'm a single dad. I'm like, well, this is your perfect conference because you'll get a meal and you'll get information.
Correct.
All for around $30.
$30.
And so, and there's childcare's available if you got little ones, and they're going to have fun, and we're going to get them tired so that they go home and go to sleep, and that'll be a great day. But we'll get you out of there. It'll be a good night to come in, get encouraged, get refreshed, and I don't know, just maybe get a new focus and perspective of what's going on. Then the theme of the conference this year is from this point on.
Right.
So giving us freedom to let go of whatever happened and begin to move forward in what God has for us now.
Love it.
So we're going to have a lot of fun. So make sure you guys check that out. Link is on Facebook, and it'll be on the podcast here on the podcast link. And you can just go to Known Legacy under knownlegacy.org/events, and you can also get some information from there.
And first 100 people that register, and spots are going quick.
They are
enter into a drawing. You don't need to do anything special, and we will give that drawing out the day of. And I think it's like a pretty nice evening out.
It's a movie gift card, so it's not like it's not like $11.
So if you wanted to, you could find a spot that's playing Hangover. The 10-year anniversary.
No, but what you could do is you could go out to the movies and you could see something inspiring and exciting.
Like The Notebook? What?
But see, sometimes people give away stuff, and then you're like, oh, this is great. It's a $20 gift card to the mall. Thank you. Is there even a mall anymore? I don't know. It's like a Simon Mall gift card. Congratulations. You're at $20. You can go get in the door somewhere.
And you have 2 weeks to get it before all Simon
exactly
malls close.
All Simon malls are closed. But you can, we're going to do a gift card for your family to get tickets, popcorn, all that kind of fun stuff. About $150 value. And then a bag of Known Legacy swag. We actually got a new nice. Some new stuff too. We have some new pens.
Nice.
We have a
wait, let me get this straight. Well, tell me everything in the swag bag first.
You've got we'll have a coffee mug.
Okay.
One of our famous Known Legacy coffee mugs featured here on the Known Legacy podcast.
Oh, let me do that different.
Yeah, do that. There you go. They can come on, Vanna. Show them how it works. Show them how it is. There it is.
Nice.
And we got that, and then we'll also have, some books, some books that have been inspiring to who we are.
Right.
And then also we have some new bottled water openers. That's what they are. Some what's that really famous water?
Perry?
I don't know. We're not that famous.
I know it because that was what the French driver drove in Talladega Nights.
Peroni. Is it Peroni?
No, it's not Peroni. That's a beer from Italy. Which these bottle openers would actually work on.
Perrier? Is it Perrier?
Perrier is what
Perrier,
it is.
so you can have a Perrier bottle water opener.
Okay, so let me get this straight. All that swag, I would spend $99 for just the swag. And we're doing it for what?
Ooh, we're doing it for $30 a person.
If you act now, it's only $30 a person, or
to get entered into the drawing.
Installments of $10.
Yeah, to get entered in the drawing. I heard the story one time where somebody said, enter to win, like at McDonald's, and this lady kept entering. And then McDonald's had to honor it because all it said was enter to win. And so there wasn't a drawing. I mean, they meant that it was a drawing, but he worded it wrong. So we're entering you to a drawing. So not everybody gets that, just so you know, because we're not planning to go out of every financial business that we have. So anyways, check that out.
So interesting over-the-cup moment in our house. The other day, which will kind of start this. We're wrapping up the over-the-cup conversation, and we're kind of dialing into it. And so my daughter is 16, and she's gone country. She wears
Look at them boots.
Yeah, she's gone country. Absolutely.
That's all I know from that song. Look at them boots. That's the only country line I know. And something about tall trees. That's all I know.
We're renaming Known Legacy to name that tune. So... So anyways, so yesterday I'm doing some work in my office.
Look at them boots.
I'm doing work in my office. And my daughter gets dropped off by this fine young man. Name shall remain nameless. People shall remain nameless. Anyways, he comes up to the door, right?
We don't have it together today.
No, we don't. He comes up to the door, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. What's going to happen here? So I can see the front door from my office, and so I'm kind of looking and doing work, kind of, but more paying attention, thinking that, maybe he's dropping her off, trying to get a kiss. I'm like, it's like 4 PM. I'm sure it's not, but and all of a sudden he comes in the house. I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. And then my daughter goes, Dad, I'd like you to meet someone. I'm like, oh, no.
Oh, no. Let me just finish cleaning my shotgun.
What is happening right now? And so I meet the young man. He shakes my hand, and it's a good handshake, and it's amazing. Dads, if there's one thing we can teach our sons, is a good handshake.
A solid handshake.
And so we start talking. He's a hunter, and he had just, taken down a deer the previous week, and we talked about meat and blah, blah, blah. And I kind of ran out of things to talk about because I don't want to get to know this kid really. I mean, I do. Yes, I do, but I don't. I'm like, I don't want to know you. I'm going to punch you in your face.
You are dust in the wind.
Right. And, my daughter will break your heart like she breaks everyone else's. But anyways, it doesn't matter. So I take the dog for a walk to the mailbox, and I come back in, and my daughter goes, Dad, boy X, we'll just say boy X, has a question for you. And I'm like, and internally I'm like going, what is going on? Like, what is happening right now? Like, what question could this kid be asking me, right?
Yeah.
And to his credit, he looks me in the eyes. He goes, sir, I'd like your permission to take your daughter out on a date Friday night. And I'm like, huh. So the first thing out of my mind is, well, tell me about your plans for this date, right?
And how are you going to support her after this?
Right. And what's your plan for the future?
What's your plan for the future?
Like in the movie Say Anything. And I expected that kind of answer. Well, I don't want to make anything, buy anything, sell anything that's been made, And he goes, well, I have the back loins from the deer I just shot, so I figured we'd go out to the lake, I'd grill them up for us, and then we would either, here's the options he had come up with, we'd either hang out at Bass Pro Shop or go see a movie, and I don't know which one Jenna wants to do yet. And I'm like, oh, that's my daughter's name, by the way. And I'm like, all right.
Okay.
Let me talk to my wife and see. So the over-cup conversation came with that night, my wife and I having this conversation about a young man who wants to date take my daughter on a date who had the guts to ask me. That doesn't happen in our
that's
world anymore.
Actually, pretty cool.
Like, I was thinking to myself, I got to tip my hat to this boy. He actually had the guts to come into my house, shake my hand, and ask me for permission to date my daughter.
You think a little like pee came out when he asked you a question?
I hope so.
I'm a little scared.
I hope so.
I'm a little scared.
And I, as the alpha dog of the house, would have peed right on top of that. And said,
you would have.
This is my house, son.
Why are you peeing on my leg, sir? Oh,
That
man.
didn't happen. Just so we know, don't call Child Protective Services. That did not happen. So, anyways,
Son, you're in trouble. Get it? Urine?
that was horrible.
was
So
bad.
my wife and I come at this very different. Like, I dated. I had multiple girlfriends through high school and college. Let's put
You
it
were
that
a
way.
floozy.
What?
You were a floozy.
I was a floozy. I didn't understand what was going on. I'm like, girls like me. Whatever, And so but my wife never dated. She didn't date in high school. She didn't date in college. In fact, when I asked her out, that was the first time she actually went on a date. Not because no one asked her, but because she's like, I don't want to play the game. Why do I want to play this emotional game when I know it's going to end?
Yeah.
It's going to end. Why would I want to do that? And so we come at this issue from very different spots.
Perspectives.
And it was a half-hour conversation of give and take and assuming the best when things were being said, and it was contentious. It was contentious because I'm like, and I tell my kids from the beginning, I was like, when you start dating, one of three things happens. Have I told you this?
Yeah,
before?
I love it. You shared it on
one
the
of three
podcast.
things happens, and in fact, I quizzed Jenna on this morning on dropping her off at school. I was like, one of three things happens. She goes, I know, Dad. He'll break my heart, I break his heart, or we get married. That's it. I was like, right. It's a very fatalistic view of dating.
Yeah, it's a very true.
But it's
view
very
of
true,
dating.
right? And so it was that hard conversation with my wife who's like, I don't get it. We're moving, and I just don't get it. I was like, well, it's high school, and this happens in high school.
Yeah.
She's learning about herself, and she's learning about this boy. I'm going to call him the boy.
The boy X.
From now on. And so we finally kind of came up with the conversation because my big point to her was like, look at the horizon. In 2.5 years, she's going to be at college, and she's going to be making these decisions on her own.
Yeah.
And now is the time to give her those lenses to be able to make good decisions, not just emotionally charged decisions.
Yeah,
and my daughter's a great kid. Like, she really is a smart,
She is.
level-headed.
She's pretty awesome.
Right. But I know emotions get into it, and really good people and kids can do really silly things when emotions are charged.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I love the fact that he was very descriptive to you, though. I mean, that kind of says something about how he was raised. Of like, no, son, you better go ask that guy. You ask that girl's father. Mm-hmm. He learned that from somebody. That wasn't just somebody woke up and said, let me just be honorable.
Well, where he learned that from is when he asked Jenna out, and Jenna goes, I can't go on a date with you till you ask my daddy.
That's cool.
And I'm like,
that's cool.
I love my girl.
Yeah, exactly.
But I should have had my gun out and cleaning it.
He'd have been like, oh, is that the new Remington 420? Like,
He
I don't
would've-
know, son. I just know.
I borrowed this from a neighbor.
Yeah,
I don't even loaded.
Does this come with bullets? Does it come here? You've been like, oh, I'm home. That's what our doorbell sounds like. So, I mean, I think that's actually pretty good. And I love that you talked about that because we do forget that those immediate circle over the cup conversations happen to us all the time.
Right.
So even thinking the best about your wife and even thinking the best about the situation, it is so many times how even over a text, sometimes you have those conversations, you're immediately thinking, when you see the word, oh, okay. Man,
Right.
those are probably the worst ones when over the cup, we're like, when they mean okay, they probably mean like, okay.
Right.
Fine, I'm defeated again. And you're like, no, they just said okay.
We import our emotions into that conversation.
Correct.
And it's just text on a screen. So anyway, I was driving in this morning, and the thought that came to my mind was, that's a really hard conversation that my wife and I, who are on the same page, are trying to navigate.
Yeah.
Trying to navigate.
Yeah.
And then I have a lot of friends that are going through divorce where it's not just mom and dad. It's mom, stepdad, stepmom, the whole blended family thing going on.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, man, how hard is it to be in that situation and to raise that, like to do that and do that well? It just absolutely floored me. Absolutely floored me.
Well, we saw, we've been talking about this over the cup a couple of weeks, and really once we kind of campaign this thing to really encourage people to have these over-the-cup conversations. I believe we're going to have less in the news about these back and forth ridiculous issues that keep coming up, where once a viewpoint is thrown up, we already assume the worst of everybody.
Truth doesn't matter. It's all perception.
It's all perception. And so for us to break that chain, these over-the-cups are necessary. And, my wife actually sent me this post on Facebook. She actually kind of put me in this post on Facebook.
Right.
And I immediately saw this picture and was a little bit bothered by it because I didn't understand the picture, and it kind of blew me away. I do believe in a traditional view of marriage, husband and wife. So I was a little bit taken back, and it was a picture of two dads kissing a little girl. Now, I don't hate anybody. I don't hate anybody. So as people are already losing it on me.
All I heard was I hate everybody.
Okay, good. I figured you did.
I'm perceiving that hate from a ginger.
That's good. That's good. That's good. So I believe in a traditional view of marriage, and so I saw this picture.
Can you pull that up on your screen?
Yeah,
can we show it?
I don't know if we can, but let me see if I can show it. It's see if I can get to here. Did I just lose it?
If not, I'll import it into the video. So look for Sweet Graphic Import now.
Sweet Graphic Import. That's weird.
All right, go now. Explain what everyone just saw on the video.
Oh, okay.
Because if you're listening to the podcast, they can't see it.
Okay, good. So anyway, there is a picture of two dads kissing a little girl,
Right.
one on each cheek, and at first it took me back, but then I started reading this picture and
So hold on. So that your initial reaction, you kind of shared it a little bit, was not to assume the best.
No,
your initial reaction was not to assume the best, and that it was maybe a situation that was promoting something that doesn't necessarily fit within those traditional marriage views.
Yeah, and so I immediately, my wife posted, she said, before you, read it. And I was like, okay. So I looked at it and I read it. And what I realized, the storyline was, it was a guy, his name's Dylan Lennox. And so you can look him up on Facebook, Dylan Lennox, and a lot of people have probably seen it. I think it's been shared. Yeah, a couple of people have seen it. It's been shared 129,000 times. So
Right.
Someone out there might have seen this. But the whole story is about their daughter, Willow. And what it is the guy on the left is this guy, Dylan, and the guy on the right is Willow's biological father. And I loved it because we start... You start reading this, and it's a quick post for guys. It's about a 45-minute read. No, it's like 2 paragraphs. But anyways, You see these pictures, and both of these guys are raising this daughter. So Dylan is married to Willow's mom.
Gotcha.
And David is the biological father. And you see that they've decided to work together and see the best of the situation. And I love that there's actually a part in here that says, and this is for this situation we're kind of sharing about, and they explain it, but he said that when we care more about our children on both sides of the party than the way society has taught us to be towards exes or baby mamas or baby daddies, then walls will fall, life will be free of hatred and remorse, and our children will conquer the foolish norms that media has shoved in our faces. David stays at their house when he visits because family is always welcome. So he's not just another person. He's not the other guy. He is now family in the midst of this. It says he stays at our house. He's not an outsider. He is and always will be a part of our life for the simple fact that we share the same daughter. Of course, not a single moment would be like this without Sarah, the mother, and her kind and generous heart. Willow Grace is loved by so many people in this world. And they said, FYI, David is single. So I love that part because it says, man, not only is this guy for the daughter of this guy, but he's for David.
Right.
He's like, ladies, he's a great guy. Marry him. Marry this dude. And then you can be a part of this fun family as well.
Right. I love it. And what I was struck by is this is rubber hits the road over the cup kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we have a society that says, here's the deal. If you get hurt, your job is to do anything you can to hurt the person as much as you were hurt.
Correct.
Right? And that's how most divorces will continue down the road. It didn't work. Get it.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yep.
Forgive what needs to be forgiven. Realize it takes 2 to tango. There were both parties that gave something to this that allowed it to not work out. Now, one may be more, one may be less. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, instead of looking and being defined by the past, what happened, you have to take your eyes off of that, look to the horizon and say, okay, what can we do now in this situation to make it as best as possible for our kids and for the other spouses?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's so counter to what society expects from us, and it's so counter to what just, I mean, like I have friends that they got a divorce and they'd had divorce parties, and the divorce party was all about slamming the ex. What a horrible person the ex is.
Yeah.
As if that somehow is going to help the situation long term. And I think going back to the rules of over the cup conversation is like, at some point you have to forgive and realize the person in front of you is not evil.
Yeah.
There may be parts of the past that are painful. There
Yep.
may be parts of the past that seem evil, but at this point, you have to assume the best because you guys are woven together some way, somehow for eternity. You will both be at the wedding, I hope, of the children.
That's the
You will
hope.
both be at graduation, I hope. And so what are those moments going to be that's going to be awesome for the kid, not so that you can prove you were right 5 years ago when you got divorced and now they hurt the way that you hurt, and actually it's only the kids that hurt anymore, and you're stuck.
We forget that the kids are watching every step of the way.
Every step.
For us to give up in the midst of the hard times shows our kids that it's okay to give up. And even in these situations that, when someone's too difficult, we just write them off. And what that's going to do is teach them that when someone is too hard, we just write them off and we move on. But if we were to show them, wow, we can continue to fight for the heart of someone who hates me. There's someone I remember in the world that fought for the hearts of people that hated him. It's coming to mind. Jesus.
Oh.
I think it was Jesus.
Yeah.
And so I think sorry, that was all me being lame, but this idea of just
I can feel it coming in the
exactly. And so
air
I keep thinking about Jesus in this. So today I believe we want to finish up this over the cup conversations with just a commencement of what do we do now? How do we do this? And I think this was a great example of what an over the cup conversation can look like.
Right.
In every degree, especially in our home as dads.
Well, and I would say that's the result of over the cup conversations.
Yeah.
Like that's not the conversation. The conversation happened a long time ago
Correct.
with those three.
I'm guessing
right?
it wasn't easy.
Right. It was Mom's heart in a lot of ways, and he acknowledges in that post of saying it didn't work out. It didn't work out. So let's move on. What does it look like to be in a good place? The guy right behind you, Brian, why don't you wave real quick? Thank you. Brian, I'm going to share a part of your story, but not use your name so that no one knows who it is.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Brian's going to stay anonymous
We're
in this story.
Ryan.
So Ryan, we'll just say Ryan.
Ryan.
He had a difficult situation a few years ago where the marriage just didn't work out. For one reason or another, marriage didn't work out. And he is a guy who, even though there was a lot of hurt from that not working out,
Yeah.
I believe he, as much as was possible for him, tried to live in grace towards his spouse and in grace towards the kids.
Yeah.
And I think a few years down the road, it's proven to be beneficial. It was hard because I think one party was trying to be antagonistic, and Brian was just like, I'm not going to fall into that trap. I'm just going to do the right thing. As much as it's up to me, I'm going to do the right thing. And not fall to that level, not try to get even, not try to get, be vindictive. And I'm just going to trust that in the long haul, on the horizon, this is going to play out.
Yeah.
And I think because he didn't throw mud back, the person throwing the mud loses energy.
Yeah.
They lose, and I think that relationship is in a better place today than it would have been if what society says, they throw mud, you throw mud back. You throw it twice as hard, you get a rock, pack it with mud, and make sure that it hurts when it lands.
Yeah.
Damn the kids.
Yeah.
And so I just think we see it from time to time, but now it's a matter of like, how do we begin to live in that more and more? So you have a dad, maybe been divorced, maybe on the edge of divorce, maybe is a few years past divorce, and he's realizing, you know what, it's time. It's time to let the past be the past, to look at the horizon. What would be some advice or some ideas for him to begin to restore a possibly broken relationship with the ex-spouse or a broken relationship with the kids, realizing that it takes time to undo hurt?
Yeah. We talked about it a while ago, and I think forgiveness is such an abnormal reaction that, lack of forgiveness is like this idea of, casting bitterness on somebody is basically it's like sipping poison and hoping the other person dies.
Right.
And so it's this idea of like, well, I hope that they feel this wrath. And most of the time you're in your own house embittered by your thoughts, and you're the one getting wounded in the midst of this journey. So it's learning to let go. And I think we look at Jesus, again, he had every right to be angry. And let's just fast forward, well, for us rewind, but fast forward Jesus' story all the way to the cross. And even him in his response to getting beaten, getting whipped, getting destroyed, getting scorned, getting laughed at, people making fun of him, all these things that we take for granted when you really put flesh and bone into that, not just the pain of physical, but also the emotional pain of scorns of people walking down the aisles as he is carrying his cross, and they are just mocking him.
What about, and don't miss the fact that all of his friends,
absolutely, they're all gone.
They left.
They're all probably walking, looking from the distance,
and
feeling shameful.
Right, and his best friend basically said, "I don't even know the guy.
Exactly,
he's such a dirtbag. I don't even know the guy.
I don't even know him." And so,
right.
So I think that if you look at that, you fast forward that part, and you see Jesus' only response is, "Forgive them, for they don't know what they do."
I don't even know what they're doing.
And I'm going, man, while we were yet sinners, Christ loved us.
Yeah.
And as bad as it feels, no one's ever tried to hang me on a cross.
Right.
As bad as it feels, and I have conversations with men like Brother Yoon over in China, and he talks about the forgiveness that he cast on the Public Security Bureau, on the PSB, to say, man, you just don't even know what you're doing.
Right.
And so he just was easy to cast. So again, all those things into the realm of where we are. Yes, we've lost money. Yes, we've lost credibility. Yes, we've been talked about. But we have an opportunity, because grace is such a commodity right now that people don't like to spend.
Right.
That if we could easily cast grace, take the time for us to think about it and cast grace on the next individual, the one who has wronged us, is the first step in us in us being able to even have these conversations, because that is thinking the best about that individual.
Right.
Letting go.
And I would put this on there too. A lot of times the ability to forgive them is when you finally pause and have an honest self-reflection saying, what have I done to help create this situation? And then forgive yourself.
Yes.
It really does begin with identifying truthfully what you did in this situation.
Yeah.
Forgiving yourself from it. And then I think that opens up space to be able to forgive the other person. I think another very practical step, and if you're finding yourself just really wrapped up in bitterness or brokenness or a state of revenge,
Yeah.
I think that the greatest thing that Jesus ever taught us was, and it's the hardest thing too, pray for your enemy.
Yes.
And maybe it starts there more than anything else, more than maybe it's too raw, too real. You can't even take time because emotionally you get too charged when you look in the mirror. You get too charged when you even think about that person. Just say a simple prayer.
Yeah.
God, be with so-and-so today.
Yeah.
Let them see you today. Let them see your grace today. Let them know your love today. And you pray for them every single day, and the Spirit does what only the Spirit can do, and He will begin to transform a hardened heart to fertile soil where forgiveness can truly take root.
I think about this with one verse in mind, and it is Romans 12:18. If you want to...
Busting out the Bible.
I am. There's something about that whole truth thing that kind of helps me a lot. So this verse has helped me. Most people who know me know that I can be a little high-strung sometimes, a little high-strung.
A little.
So I can feel it calling in the air tonight. Romans 12:8 says, if possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Another version says, the New Living Translation says, do all that you can to live in peace with everyone.
Right.
So it's this idea of, okay, God, I'm not at peace with people. So maybe that's the first prayer. I'm putting down this bottle of poison that I've been drinking.
Right.
And I'm going to ask you, God, who am I not living at peace with? And generally, you'll know exactly who you are. The Spirit does a good job with telling us, here's these people. Or He'll make it very, very clear pretty quick.
Right.
So I think for us to step and go, God, before I make a step into this awkward of talking to these people, I am going to ask you to reveal who I'm not at peace with. And that's where I think the prayer comes in. God, help me to pray for my enemies, and then you realize they really aren't your enemies.
Right.
We have one enemy. We have this enemy who has deceived that person and deceived you. And so we need to be praying for that person, not for us that they would see the error of their ways, that we would see the error of ours and we would start to walk forward. And we would cast grace on them. Again, a commodity that's not used much now to start this conversation of forgiving and then letting go of the past.
And I'll tell you, those conversations are very difficult to have, and they're very difficult by ourselves because we have a host of lies that we have convinced ourselves are true. And they're the lies that live within our head.
Yeah.
And there's something therapeutic about finding a brother in Christ, and I believe they have to be in Christ, who want what's best for you and your kids and your spouse to help navigate some of those hard internal conversations.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I always warn against isolation in dealing with some of these deep hurts because it gets really toxic really quick. And we were never created for isolation. We are always created for community.
Yeah.
Jesus himself is a part of community, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, a community that we can't fully understand called the Trinity. And from that heart, he created man, and he said everything was good when he created, except for one thing. It's not good for man to be alone.
Correct.
And so I think, when processing through these things, learning how to pray for someone who is really hard to pray for, our enemies, if we want to use that language, and doing some self-evaluation for forgiveness, find a brother to journey through with that.
Yeah.
Because you need to hear that sometimes. Sometimes you need to throw out all the crap on the table and have someone look you in the eyes and say, dude, you're forgiven, but you need to hear it.
Correct.
You're forgiven. I don't forgive you, but you're forgiven because Christ has done what you can't do, and he has forgiven you. And you will be amazed at how just hearing those words after that dump, the Spirit does what the Spirit does, and he lifts us. It is an amazing, amazing gift.
It's funny you mention Adam, because we talk about it's not good for man to be alone, and some say, well, I've got God and God's there with me. But it was God who said that it's not good for Adam to be alone.
Right.
So therefore he was implying it's not good that it's just me and Adam. It's not good yet. It's not good that it's just me and Adam. So we need another piece of iron, again, going back to Proverbs 27:17, that we need someone to sharpen us. So finding someone to go, hey, I'm struggling with this. I'm not at peace with these people. Pray with me. I'm going to have this conversation. They help you look from a different angle so that you can begin to move forward in this conversation of over a cup with whoever it may be.
Right. So here's a good thing. info@knownlegacy.org. If you don't have a brotherhood and you're realizing and wrestling with some of the stuff, we really encourage you to reach out to Bill and I at info@knownlegacy.org.
Yeah.
We can be that guy to a certain degree at a distance, but ultimately we can help you find that guy locally.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you can begin to engage in that iron sharpen iron stuff. So good conversation. And I appreciate this is rubber hits the road stuff, man. This is over the cup, things that will change your life, your kid's life, and your ex-spouse's life in some crazy, awesome ways. So it's worth it. Do it.
Yeah. So just to wrap it up, forgive, pray.
Yep.
Let it go, and be the first to act in this situation. Take the step. Don't wait for that person to come to you.
As much as it's up to you.
Yep.
God bless you guys.
Have a great week.
And sign up for Known Legacy Conference coming up beginning of March.
Look forward to seeing you there.
All right.